Finding a great wave for your boat is about balancing your ballast weight, your ballast location, boat speed, and the location of delta. This video will walk us through the 4 characteristics that make a great surf wave. Clean face, the size and shape of the wave, the length of the wave, and push. Achieving a clean wave is determined by several factors, including hull design, prop size and rotation, and the location of delta. Since hulls and props can't easily be changed, reposition delta to find the smoothest wave possible. Delta's overall size and reversible design allows you to find a good spot to clean up the face of your wave. The goal is to find a suitable location for delta so it runs just below the surface of the water when it surf speeds. This puts delta right in the center of the stream of water rushing past the hull and introduces the turbulence you need to reduce the strength of that stream. As you're adjusting the location of delta, watch the top of the surf wave. If the top of the wave is crusty, move the delta up, down, or further back on the side of the boat. The less crust, the better. Start the process by evenly weighting the boat left to right. Listing the boat is not necessary and can reduce the effectiveness of delta because it can lift delta out of the water. Add about 60% of the ballast in the rear and 40% in the front. Keep in mind that if you have a center engine boat, you need to add more ballast to the rear. Also, if you're only running stock ballast tanks, only fill the rear tanks. This gets the back of the boat further down in the water, preventing the boat from planing and will keep delta fully submerged. Start with delta assembled in normal orientation and position delta near the waterline as far back on the hull as possible. If you can't split the waterline with the front panel because of your boat's hull geometry, that's okay. Just get it as close as you can. Now bring the boat up to an appropriate surf speed. Speed all depends on the hull design and the calibration of your speedometer. We typically recommend starting around 11.2 miles an hour. We'll talk more about speed in a minute. Now look at the wave. You want it clean as far up as possible. If the wave is mostly crusty, look over towards the delta. If there is a large splash plume, this means delta is mounted too high. If there is no splash plume, it may be mounted too low. Stop and reposition delta until you find a suitable location that gives the best results. If delta is mounted as far back as possible and it is still making a large splash and crusty wave, unassemble delta and reassemble it in a reversed orientation. This allows the main panel to be moved further back and therefore ride further down in the water. This orientation is very useful for direct drive boats and mastercraft boats like the X2, where delta can only be attached in a high location. For boats like Mastercraft's X-Stars, where delta can only be mounted very low on the hull, run it in the reverse orientation and slightly lift the boat towards the surf side. This lifts delta up in the water column, positioning it in a good location for the best results. If delta is still producing a large splash plume and not achieving a clean wave, try reducing your front ballast amount and increasing your rear ballast. Also try reducing or increasing your speed. We recommend not using other wave forming devices like wedges or trim tabs when getting started. These can be added later based on your personal preference, as some of these can add undesirable results. Once a clean wave is achieved, you can move on to changing the shape of the wave. The biggest influences of wave shape beyond hull design are ballast amount and location, and the boat speed. To increase the height of the surf wave, start by adding more ballast in the rear of the boat. This digs the back end of the boat further down into the water, resulting in more displacement, which in turn increases the wave height. Note, adding more weight in the rear can decrease the surfable length. This can be changed by increasing the speed of the boat. Reducing the boat speed will also increase the wave height, but this will be at the expense of rideable length and push. Look for some nice vertical in the upper section of the wave. This will keep you from falling off the back. If the wave is rounded over, this means you need to add more ballast in the rear or slow down. Ideally, when a good balance of ballast and boat speed are achieved, you'll get a nice little tube forming at the back of the wave. Additionally, you can add a 1-passenger list towards the surf side wave to add just a touch more vertical and peel. Increasing the surfable length gives the surfer a lot more room to play, which allows the surfer to easily recover from tricks without falling off the back of the wave. This is achieved by increasing the boat's speed and front ballast. Note that this will take away from the wave height and can round over the top of the wave. Play with speed and ballast until you find a balance that works for you. Push is the amount of energy contained in the wave. This is what pushes the surfer forward and keeps them in the wave. The vertical rampiness of the wave definitely helps with this, but the boat speed is what generates the most push. Delta enables you to run at a much faster speed than listing, 11 to 12 miles an hour versus 9 to 10 miles an hour. By increasing the boat's speed, the water becomes more firm so that the surfboard planes out, which generates more lift and less drag. This gets the board out of the water so it becomes much more forgiving when dropping the handle and learning or doing tricks. Surfboard length also plays a role in perceived push. Longer boards generate more lift, so they are good for smaller waves or larger surfers, but they are less maneuverable, so tricks are more difficult. Find a board that fits your weight range. We've noticed that many of the published weight ranges seem to be calculated with smaller waves in mind. Now that you have a larger wave with more push, you may be able to drop down a size or improve maneuverability doing tricks. Chat with an expert at your local pro shop to find the best board for you, and jump over to missionboatgear.com to find more tips and tricks.